Hey everybody, welcome to The Well. This is a show where we do what you do, and we're going to take you on that journey to see how we've developed our financial advisory practice as digital marketers turned financial advisors.
All right, welcome back to season 2. This is episode 14 of The Well.
Welcome back. 14. We're going to have to go to season 3 pretty soon.
Let's just keep racking them up.
Just make this one of those super long seasons that just never ends.
Hey, welcome back. This is season 2, episode 609. Joe Rogan style.
That's right.
Should we make these 4-hour episodes too?
Oh, hard pass.
He's so good at it though.
He is, but it's, I think the difference is that he's talking to a different guest almost every time. I mean, he does have repeat guests, obviously, but
you can listen to us for that long over and over again?
I don't think so. He also is like high in half his episodes. I don't know that our audience wants that.
Yeah, okay.
I could be wrong.
Put it in the comments if you want that.
Right.
We'll consider it.
We'll think about it.
What are we doing today? We're
gonna talk about kind of an update to our confirmation process, because I know we talked about our confirmation process almost a year ago, kind of how we traditionally done things, but we've changed it up a little bit, primarily because of some of the venues we're using are a little bit tighter, and so it's been good for us because Indianapolis is a tougher market. So it's like, hey, maybe we can go into a smaller venue and just have a consistent room as opposed to these larger rooms that weren't always consistent. Yeah,
I mean, I think it feels good, to see a big room full. Mm. Sometimes you go into these big venues and you have 35 people in there, and it's cool for social media and the pictures look great.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, I just don't know. To me, for us, I don't know if it's just us or like the smaller group I like better.
Yeah, it's more intimate for sure. There's more engagement. I don't feel like it's hurt our appointment ratios having a smaller group. Yeah. Obviously, we haven't gotten as many appointments, but we've been, and we'll talk about that next episode, I think, but our cadence in the summer was a little bit slower anyway.
It was slower, yeah. But our appointment ratio is higher.
Yeah.
The way that we've been doing it, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because of that, we changed up the confirmation process a little bit.
Yeah. So when we start our campaigns like normal, I mean, we start on, RA Marketing starts our marketing campaigns Thursday morning, 2 weekends prior to our event. And what we're really shooting for now, especially in the last couple of rooms that we've done, is about 30 people, which is usually about 20 buying units registered for the event, because we know that the room is only going to hold 15 to 20 people tops.
Yep.
And that's been a little bit more cost effective for us. And it's been, I don't know, the quality seems like it's pretty good. And Richy kind of had the idea of let's change up our confirmation process. So describe that for us.
Yeah, and also too, I would say I don't know that it freed up or maybe allowed or I don't know, made opportunity for maybe a little bit higher scale venues, because we don't, again, we're not paying for 35 plates, we're just paying for 15.
Right.
So we could do a little bit smaller room at a higher scale restaurant. So what'd you ask? I got lost.
What's the new confirmation process?
The new change. Well, so let's define what the old one was, because it's similar to that.
Right.
But a little bit different.
Yeah, so the old one, and this is still what we generally recommend if you're running kind of a traditional seminar campaign.
Yep.
Registration comes in on Tuesday afternoon at 2:30. Within 24 business hours, reach out to that person, leave them a message, maybe text them or something to say, hey, we've got your registration. Our system, the RA marketing system, already sends out a confirmation text message and an email right away. But that's somewhat generic and kind of it's scalable, honestly, and it's designed to give them that kind of instant gratification of, oh yes, I did register, it's done.
Right. It has like custom fields, so it'll throw your date and time in there, your name, but other than that, it's just, hey, you're registered.
Right. And so the whole idea with having the advisor's office call was to personalize that confirmation process to say, hey, there's a real person behind this.
Right.
We're excited to have you attend next Tuesday night at 6:30 or whatever. And then from there, allowing the system to kind of do what it does, and send out a few more reminder messages automatically on your behalf via email and text as you get closer to the event. And then our broad recommendation, and still is the case, the day of or day before, call through everybody that's registered and remind them about your event that night.
Right.
And that's always worked pretty well. I mean, we've traditionally seen, the summer months are a little bit slower, but on average, year long, we average about 55% attendance using that method. From social media, and that's we've talked to some of our competitors, some of our colleagues in this space, and they all experience the same thing in terms of attendance. So pretty consistent across the board that if you follow that kind of proven path, that's what you should get is about 50% attendance.
Yep. So then we decided to do an event at HC Kitchen, which is a right down the street from our office. It's an upscale, I would say, place, and but the thing is, the room will only fit a packed 16 people.
Yeah, that's tight.
And that's us standing at the front. We don't have a seat. Like there's no table for us. So it's a U shape. Well, it's not. It's a like a family style table, like a huge one, but they sit, around it like a U shape, and then we present in the front. So the way that this happened is what you just laid out is our typical confirmation process. Basically, just didn't happen because we shifted some stuff around internally and who's doing what and these things. And so really, essentially what happened is nobody got a call. And then here we are. It's Saturday. The event was going to be the following Tuesday. And we're like overbooked for this place. And you and I are starting to sweat.
Right.
We're like, uh-oh. Like
we have too many people.
There's too many people. We can only fit 16 people in here, period. And I think at the time, I want to say there's 30 people registered. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if let's say you get the 50%, 15 show, like, cool, except for we can't really risk that here.
Right.
Because sometimes we'll have 70% show. Right. Well, what are we going to do if 70% people show on this thing?
Yeah.
So that's kind of that was kind of the predicament we were in. So it's like, okay, let's send out a text on Saturday. No, actually, I think the first time was just a phone call. Mm. And it was just like, hey, in my case, I was making the call on this one. I go, hey, this is Richy. I'm one of the owners at PlanWise. I know it's Saturday. I don't usually make these phone calls, but here's the situation. We're completely we're overbooked at this thing. So you're registered. The seats are yours, but I just need to know if you're gonna be there. I need you to confirm to keep them. So everybody I talked to said, yeah, I'll be there. Cool. And then on the roster, we mark them green. If I left a voicemail, we mark them yellow. And then if for whatever reason they say, oh, I can't make it, they're canceled, we mark them red. Mm-hmm. So that's all that happened to start with on that Saturday.
Yeah. And I think that first time that you did it was kind of eye-opening for us, because then you followed up after that on Monday, I think.
It was Monday, yeah, because again, the event was Tuesday.
Right.
So Monday was the next touch.
So you worked back through the people that had not yet confirmed, you just left a message for, or they hadn't responded to the emails or anything like that.
Yep.
And did it again. And we sent out a text message, I think, that said basically the same thing. That is, hey, really excited to see you tomorrow night. However, we're overbooked. And so in order to guarantee your seat, we need you to respond that you're coming. Yep. And that worked well. We got, I don't know, half a dozen people that said, yes, I'll be there. Or, no, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there. And that helped us clean up that roster. I think you did it again on Tuesday. I think
the leftover ones, the final ones, yeah. I'm trying to look because I want to say so in doing this, we got far more cancels.
Yeah, we did.
Like far more. I want to say 12 units said I'm not coming or something like that.
Right.
But then we got the confirmations.
Right.
Also, I want to say the first time we did this, there was very few people we didn't talk to. I don't remember when that was. Was that May or June?
I think it was June. But yeah, I mean, the thing that was encouraging to me is, we got more cancels, but there's a high probability that 95% of those people weren't coming anyway.
Right.
And now we knew. And I think that's kind of the challenge that we've all experienced. If you've done digital marketing for seminars in the past, you've got that kind of uneasiness of I've got all these people registered. How many are going to show up? And like you said, sometimes it's 70, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 50, sometimes it's 40. You just never really know. And that's always been kind of a stress point for us and for our clients. Hey, how many of these people are actually going to show up? Well, the averages always work out to be about 50, 55%.
Right.
But as averages work, there's standard deviation, right? So we have some that are 30 and some that are 70. And it's just and if you're in a room where you can't have that variance.
Right. We're nervous.
At least on the upside, we're real nervous about it. So this has been kind of an eye-opening thing. It's okay, instead of having 50% attendance, we only have 35, but we know what we're getting. We know with certainty these are the people that are showing up. Because that first event, I think, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I think of let's say it was 16 people that we were expecting to be there, 15 were there, and we had one person that hadn't confirmed that showed up. So we had a completely full room, every seat was taken, and we knew 15 of the names that were going to be there.
That's exactly how it went.
Yeah.
And on the roster, I'm looking at it. So going into the evening, we had 11 households confirmed, which was a total of 16 people. Mm-hmm. And then, 10 were hard cancels. We're not going to be there. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 floating in the middle of just we left them voicemails. We did everything we could. We haven't contacted them. So I don't know. So I want to say, yeah, for sure. So the guy that showed up that wasn't confirmed. And this night it was just me and you two. We didn't have any extra help. Right. So usually we have help. But so he shows up and we're like, John, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. We're gonna have to ask you to have a seat over at the bar.
Yeah,
because
that was so uncomfortable.
It is a little weird.
It's so uncomfortable. Because I'm standing at the door with a clipboard, and I got a list of everybody that's confirmed, and I got a list of everybody that hasn't confirmed. I got a list of everybody that's canceled. And he shows up. I don't remember his name. I don't even think he set an appointment, but he was not confirmed. And he's standing there, and I'm like, "You're not on the list." And I felt kind of like a bouncer. Like, you're not on the list. Yeah, you're not on the list. So I think what I said in the moment was, have a seat at the bar, and we'll buy you a drink for your trouble if we're not able to let you in. But based on who's confirmed, every seat's going to be taken. So if somebody decides not to come last minute, we'll let you know right at 6:30. That's when the event's starting. We'll grab you and we'll bring you in. Yeah. And that's exactly how it worked out. At 6:29, the last person that had confirmed didn't show, and we kind of had if I remember right, she was coming from way far away. So I was kind of like thinking we might be able to bring this guy in anyway. And so at 6:30, we went over to him and said, "Hey, John, Mark, Bill, whatever his name was. Yep, we actually do have an extra seat. So why don't you come on in?" And it worked out well. He was receptive to that.
He was. I actually think he did set an appointment because I think I met with him.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. And so it was good. I mean,
yeah, it worked.
The only issue when we did that is, you remember we had that one couple who was never going to set an appointment.
Right.
Didn't care about anything, and the husband sits at the head of the table where there was one chair.
Yeah.
Kind of dominates his space, and he's being loud and chatting with everybody. Mm-hmm. Well, once we had to make one extra seat, we essentially had to move his wife next to him, which it was like a double wide.
Yeah, it's a perfect, plenty big
for two people. And they're like, you're going to ask us to do what?
Right.
We're like, I mean,
we have to move our seat?
Sit next to your spouse is
right.
That's all we're asking.
Right.
So they were kind of like upset about it, but they moved over. We opened up the seat and he sat over there. It was fine. But the people are just funny. They get twisted over silly things.
Yeah, they do. They do for sure. That was, but that worked out really well.
It worked out great.
It worked out really well. We definitely got some business out of that seminar,
we slayed that seminar.
That was a good one.
Excellent one.
That was a really good seminar. We got some good production out of it, and so much so that we went back to HC Kitchen just this week. A couple
days
ago.
It's Friday.
It's Friday today. It was on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was on Tuesday.
And we'll talk about that in the next episode, what kind of the results we've had from this summer. But it was a good event, and it kind of proved out that confirmation process model. And we did it again for the next two seminars.
Yep.
And both times we've seen similar results in terms of, hey, we know about how many people we're going to have in the room.
Yeah.
I think
almost
on the dot. We're within one or two. It's I think the one up in Westfield maybe wasn't. Like, we had more non-confirmed people show up for that one and fewer confirmed people show up, but the total number ended up being right in line with what we were expecting.
Yeah, exactly how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and honestly, it's less work, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say maybe it's a little more stressful.
It's a lot more stressful.
Yeah, because you're down to the wire, and you're like, oh crap. Like, again, there's always going to be a group of people that are not going to respond, and they're just wild cards. Are they going to come or are they not? What are we going to do? So in the when we went to the whiskey place, not a huge deal because that room was way bigger.
Right.
So if we had to, we could put people in there. But at this HC, there are 16 seats. Period. Like there are no more seats.
Yeah.
You can't put them on the side. There's there's no room in there.
Yeah, it's a long, narrow room, and it fits the table and the chairs and 16 people. Well, it fits 17, but we're taking up that 17th seat by where we're standing. So. Yeah. It's a tight fit. There's no way around it. You can't put extra people in there. So
So it's maybe less work because you're not doing the initial call. You're really just letting the roster build and do its thing, and then a couple days before sending out that text. If you want to make phone calls, I don't think on the whiskey one we didn't make phone calls to start. We just did
the text.
Yeah, just the text, and then the day before we did calls if they didn't respond. But
and that worked out well too. I mean, it's there's kind of a combination thing. I think that what we learned about that is we have to modify our automated messages.
Yeah.
Because this last one we did, it did bite us a little bit. We had did the same process, but inadvertently failed to recognize that one of the text messages the system sends out the day of is effectively a confirmation message. that says, "Hey, you're confirmed for tonight. We're looking
as a
forward to seeing you
reminder.
at 6:30 or whatever." And that was it, the content of that text conflicted with the content of the text that we sent separately. And unfortunately, if somebody responded to the automated text, we didn't get notified of it.
Yeah.
And so they thought they were confirming because they saw two messages that were somewhat conflicting, and they responded to the one that wasn't monitored.
Yep.
And so we had no way of knowing that they were actually saying that they were coming. So we'll fix that for the next one, but definitely a little bit of a lesson learned, because at the door we did have Paul helping us at this last HC, and we had I think 6 people that we had to have sit at the bar and wait, and all 6 of them were able to get in. But then ultimately there were, I think, a few ruffled feathers over that one.
Definitely ruffled feathers. They were all ladies, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
And
A couple of them did not set appointments.
Yeah,
I think of the 6, 2 did not set appointments.
Yeah.
And I think the other 4 did. One of them was garbage anyway, but
yeah. I kind of remember, if memory serves, there was really one lady who was extra upset, and I think once you have somebody who's upset, they can kind of poison those around them. And so that was the risk of that. There was too many. There were 6 of them over there. One's upset, and she's going to kind of do that. So when we did finally able to invite them in, you could see like reluctance, like, do I even want to come in here now? Like, oh, we could come now? Like,
now you're gonna let me in?
Yeah, now you're gonna let me in. We're important enough now. Like, you're always important, but like, you didn't confirm. Like, there's nothing we can do about that. We asked you to, you didn't.
Right.
But there's room now. Come on in. So you and I warmed them up in the presentation. Eventually, like, won them back over. But again, the appointment, I think, suffered a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was interesting. I agree with you. I think by the end of the presentation, she was definitely engaged, and she was laughing, and she was smiling, and she said thank you on her way out the door. But I don't know. It was definitely a little bit of a rough edge there to start. So that could have, who knows if she would have set an appointment anyway, right?
Yeah.
Who knows if she was coming in motivated to set an appointment to begin with? We don't know. But she didn't set one, so that is what it is. But then we did have.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about it on this episode or the next one?
Yeah, let's talk about the next one. But okay. Our new Brenda.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was a good experience, I guess, but
it was interesting. That's one way to put it.
That was a lot.
I had to put on my dad hat.
Yeah. So overall, the new confirmation process is: don't make calls right away. Wait until a couple days before. Send out an overbooked message of some sort, whether that's a text or an email, call, all 3. Yeah. And then the day before, anybody who doesn't respond, just work that list to try to get them to respond. Yeah. And I think too, what it kind of does is make it more exclusive feeling. You come to the door and we're like, we check, okay, yep, you can come in. It's like you said, that VIP line, like, yep, you could come in. Nope, you got to stay. Yep. So it's a little bit awkward, but it also does add to, because a lot of people in the room, once they got in, they were like, wow, this is a popular event.
Yeah. We heard that from the servers. We heard it from the manager of the restaurant. We heard it from a couple of the attendees. They're like, oh, this is
high desired.
You guys are in high demand over here. It's like, well, we have really good content. We have really good information. So kind of did, I think, raise the perception. I wasn't the intent of it, but it did, kind of by default ended up raising the perception of, especially those people that had confirmed. I think it increased their probability of sending an appointment. Yeah,
and I'll throw out, I guess, a quick disclaimer. Obviously, if you only have 5 people because you're working with some other group other than RA, you only have 5 people registered for your seminar. Yeah. Don't send out an overbooked message. Like, we're not lying to anybody. We're not deceiving anybody. Right. Make sure you're being honest, because they'll see right through that. But with RA, we've never had an event for us that's not, because with social media, you're always going to be overbooked. Yeah. Because of that 50% attendance. Right. So it is a truthful and honest statement, and you're just saying, hey, I need to know who's going to come so we can make room. So anyways, be honest, and if you did some mailer and you didn't get a response, don't use this. But
and honestly, if it doesn't fit for your model either, like, this is obviously the other method that we described at the beginning of this podcast and what we've talked about before works very well. And if you have a room that isn't going to be crammed or uncomfortable or a problem to have, some quote unquote overflow, where if you're expecting 15 but you end up with 20, that's okay. Like, don't feel like you have to do it. I mean, I think it can still help you kind of cull the herd a little bit. If there's some fat in there that you don't need, then you can certainly do that. But I think if the method that you're using works for you, don't reinvent the wheel. But it wasn't working for us. Yeah. And kind of by accident, I don't want to say by accident, but it was this was an emergency, like, hey, let's try it this way.
Right, it was.
And,
just fell into it and it worked.
It worked really well for us. So,
and I guess one other note is, let's say your typical client is a couple. Like, let's just say you work better with a couple. What this also does is kind of help you cater to that, because you can look at the roster and see that there's a couple, 2 people, and you can say, okay, I'm going to focus on trying to confirm them first.
Right.
And then if they don't, I'll go to the next couple, and then you kind of work your way down. So I do think it kind of helped maybe even get who you want in the room a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, you can do the same thing with, I wouldn't promote this necessarily, but you can certainly look at the parts of town people live in and say, hey, I know that I tend to close people that are closer to my office more often than the people that are further away. So I maybe am going to confirm those people first, get to my number, and then the people that are further away, then I can work them into the rotation if possible. The other thing that it allows you to do, if you're consistently marketing, you will have repeat offenders. You'll know that.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have people that register for this event this month, that event next month, and they've come 3 or 4 times. You can call those people, and Richy's really good at this. He calls them and says, hey, this not much has really been updated since you last came to our presentation. We'd love to have you come in and meet with us one-on-one, but this is for first-time guests.
That's exactly right. And sometimes they get a little upset. We got an email on this last one that they were like, we've been uninvited.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I just responded to him and said, I know that feels like, it can feel negative, but it's not. I appreciate you guys. I want to meet with you. I want to help you. This is just for first time.
Right.
So those conversations go pretty well. They take the uninvite pretty well, but yeah, just check your heart. It's a heart posture thing. If you are being greedy and you're, don't want this area of town because you think they're poor and whatever else, or it's just like it's a heart thing. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be smart. It's okay to be strategic, and it's okay to look through your rosters and make decisions. But just check yourself. Make sure you're trying to serve people first. In this industry, if you're serving people with the right heart posture, you're going to make money. There's no way you can't. So just make sure you stay on the right side of that fence. But otherwise, I think strategy went pretty well.
Yeah,
we'll keep using it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Cool. Dude, I don't have anything new to show you on my shoes.
I've worn these for sure before, but these have become my kind of de facto daily drivers. I've worn them, I don't know, almost every day this week, just because they're comfortable. I designed them and I like them, and they go with darn near everything. So I like them a lot. Yeah,
I've been kind of doing that with these 3s too, and in fact, I'm not even wearing the shields in them.
Oh,
which is new for me. But I just wear them. They're comfortable. You and I were talking about it before the show. We've kind of cooled off a little bit. I think we're just in a very, I won't speak for you. It's a very busy season right now in my life.
Yeah, same.
Got a lot of stuff going on. I know you do. It's just I'm not checking the shoe app as much right now.
Yeah, I'm. Ethan knows this about me. I'm hot and cold with hobbies, so it's just the shoe thing is still a interest of mine, still a hobby of mine, but it's it's now 3rd or 4th on the list, and so there's other things that it's if I'm going to be researching something or looking something up or spending time or money on something, it's shoes are still up there, but the priority has dropped off a little bit for me, but that'll change.
Yeah. I think for me, it's shifted to more of an exclusive. I don't want every pair just because they drop.
Right.
It's why do I want this pair? Does it have meaning or heritage? Is it a Kobe? Is it a, whatever. So, but anyways,
I like these ones and I like those ones.
Yeah, great shoes,
solid shoes,
great episode even.
That's right.
Oh man, that was a good one. So that was, what episode was this?
That was 14.
14. All right, we got 15 coming up next. We're gonna do a recap, right?
Yep.
Tell you guys how our summer went and what our plan is for the fall.
Yeah.
And just where we're at in general. So,
all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.